What's up, guys? It's your boy Cyan. We're back with another MMO show. I basically talk about the week past and news for MMO, and we just have a little bit of fun. Now, last week I kind of went off the beaten path of what I was talking about usually with the MMO show. I wanted to make a point, and apparently people got that point because that was the most likes and views quickly that the MMO show ever got. In that amount of time and period of time, and it got a lot of people's attention. A lot negative and a lot positive. A whole lot more positive than negative, but a few things that came to mind that I need to again speak on, but I'm gonna do that at the end. What I'm gonna do it first now is gonna talk about the games. Now, Crowfall is coming out, and a lot of people ask me why don't I cover it and why am I not speaking about it. It's because there's no footage. I told you last week I do not hype a game that I can't physically play. If I can't physically play it and can't see it, I'm not going to talk about it. I may speak on it like I am right now, but I'm not going to be like, oh my god, I want to play, and this is going to be awesome, because you don't know. And I strongly disagree with people who make hype videos, because you see a lot of people who have channels out there, they make hype videos and never actually play the game, and then they play the game and they're like, oh, well, I don't like it. And yeah, I just wasted your time the past 3 to 5 or more, even a year, in months, telling you about this game, and it sucked. I'm not going to do that to people. I'm not going to be even put in that position to have to do that to people. So that's why I don't talk about Crowfall. Not that I don't like what's going on, not that I don't like that it's coming and the other things that it's talking about. There's a lot of ambitious things, and I hope it all succeeds. I really do. And they have a few classes in that game, like the Templar and the Confessor, that I want to see what those classes are about. I want to get in there and play it, but until I can actually play it and get hands-on and then tell you a valid opinion after I played like 30-40 hours into the game, I'm not going to hype it. I'm not going to fall for that again. That's pretty much why I haven't said that much about the game. So we're going to move along, and we're going to talk about Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 is always going to be my kind of like my sweetheart as far as games and MMOs, because I like the game. I don't like some of the things that Arena has done with the game, and it's part of the reason why I stopped playing. Not that I don't like playing it or that I don't want to play it every once in a while. Matter of fact, I log in every day just to do the daily stuff. Like, it takes me like almost no time to do it, probably like a half hour, and then bam, I'm out of there. Now I kind of don't like just having everything regulated down to just like that half hour that I'm playing the game and then I'm just out of there. No, nobody likes that, because you like to have a little bit more replay value into your game. But until the expansion comes out, there's no reason for me to play. I'm not going to get any stronger. I'm not going to progress anything like vertical or horizontal that much that it needs me to be spending that much time in that game. So my time is best spent somewhere else until the game comes to a point where I can go back in there and have some fun. But this new Revenant coming out, now I got to think, like, it's looking really good. I mean, am I going to get rid of my Guardian? Nah, I don't think so, but I might have to make a third character, because I got 2 characters that are level 80 that I play necessarily. I have Pure and I have Scion, and I really got to get in there now and figure out if I want to do a third character. But that's a good thing when the game makes you have to think and make a choice on when to play it. So props to them on that, and definitely give them a look now, because they make a lot of big moves with that game. Hopefully it'll be at the point where it can actually be a #1 game, because it's not really a #1 game now. It's kind of like, it's like right there, but it's not really #1. So let's see if we can get back there. Warframe pretty much is they up the ante. Warframe is coming with their new raid soon, and I like the whole raid aspect, and I like the fact that it's not a bullet sponge boss that we're gonna have to go after. We have to think, we have to do a little coordination, we have to do a little bit of puzzles, and I'm all for that. Now, another thing that's going to happen, I'm actually going to speak on in Storm Files, which I haven't done in like a month, and it's going to come back next week. Warframe basically is going to make it so that you have to not be a glass cannon and use all your aspects. They keep telling people that the game is not meant to be an all DPS game, and people want to shoehorn that in, and that's fine, because I'm the king of shoehorning stuff. I'll do whatever the F I want to do in the game and make that stuff work. But Warframe really fundamentally is not built like that. Now, some people are finding so much burnout and finding so much problems and things because Warframe is not that type of game. It's not meant to be all DPS and you don't worry about anything else. That was the case, and everybody just run around with the highest power gun, and then you would be able to take hits and it wouldn't matter. Now, if you saw the last dev stream that Warframe had, people getting one-shotted, and pretty much because they didn't have proper builds, and there were key wordings that the dev team put out there, like, do you have a proper build? Do you have survivability? That, in my head, that rings, because when I hear a dev start saying that, that means your ass ain't gonna go in there with no damn glass cannon. You're gonna get shot, and that is gonna be, you're gonna be frustrated. So I liked hearing all that type of stuff, and that makes me clap for Warframe, because they're finally stepping up and making things proper. Next game I'd like to speak on is Moonlight Blade. Now, Moonlight Blade is another interesting game. It had a lot of good mechanics in it, and I was a little bit scared for them because they had a lot of issues where it was coming to the fact where you would slide around too much. It seemed like attacks weren't really doing the things they were supposed to be doing, and I was really worried. But I didn't have to really say anything, because like 2 months after the beta, the developer was like, yeah, we're gonna go back to the drawing board with attacks because this ain't working the way we want to. So that kind of canceled like the betas that they were going to have after that, and now it looks like the beta is going to come back this April or May or something like that, and I'm excited for that game, because if they can get it right, that's going to be a pretty nasty game. It's going to be pretty good, and it's going to be a game that everybody's going to be looking at. It's going to be like the next Blade and Soul, where everybody's going to be wanting it, and they're saying like, oh my god, when is it going to come? We're playing in Chinese, and where's the English patch and everything else, so people are going to be freaking. But definitely watch out for that game and when it's coming. Now, being that there is no other game I really want to talk about right now, I want to actually go on a topic that I touched on a little bit at the end of last week, when it comes to player skill versus just player skill in general. Now let's talk about something like with Warframe. With Warframe, my problem with people differently in games like that is people learn the improper way to learn how to play a game. They go onto the internet, and this is for any game as far as MMO and everything else, but it's more so in MMOs, because MMOs are more intellectual. And the problem with learning the game improperly is when you learn something half-assed backwards, you play half-assed backwards. So let's take Warframe for example, and I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot or anything like that. People will go to my friend Mogamu's channel and say, hey, I want to learn a build. They won't, like they'll see that everything else in Warframe, pretty much, like if you're in the Warframe community, you're probably going to end up on his channel in some way, shape, or form. The problem with that is they skipped over all the tutorials. They skipped over actually learning how to play the game. They skipped over learning how to actually survive. Now they come onto Mugamu's channel and they say, hey, I want to learn how to play Ember. What Mugamu build on Ember? So they pick up the prime build or whatever else with Ember. Now they're badass. They got like a good build or best build for whatever the Warframe is, and now they come into the game. Granted, they just got like the Warframe. Granted, they probably bought it more than likely and didn't actually go and earn it and fight their way through the star map. Now they end up in the game with me or somebody else who's a veteran. And they got this badass build, they got this badass gun build, they got everything's badass. Like, hey, look at me, I know what I'm doing, I'll watch the YouTube video. But here's what happens. Because they didn't actually play the game, because they didn't actually earn anything, because they didn't actually learn and pay attention to tutorials, now they can't survive. Now they go out there and they stand in shit. Now they go out there, they don't know how to get behind cover, they don't know how to parkour, they don't know how to climb things, they don't know how to shoot properly, they can't get headshots. The badass build that they have with whatever dread bow or Paris bow, if you're in Warframe, you know what that means. They can't aim. They're not doing anything properly. So when they go into these missions, they're like, yeah, I got my build and dead. And I'm like, yeah, your DPS doesn't mean anything because I'm picking you up off the ground like every 10 seconds. This is the same thing that you guys run into in MMO games. The same thing that happens in WoW. You see these guys, they run and look at all the YouTube videos and everything else, and the problem is they never learn how to play. They didn't learn how to actually use a rotation properly. They didn't know how to use a rotation, when to use it, when to stand and do DPS, when to be able to move, when to figure out, okay, I got 10 seconds now, that means I can get a rotation. Like, you need that stuff sounds nerdy, but that's the stuff you need to know. That is how you become a good MMO gamer. You got to start with the basics. Well, the problem that's happening a lot now is stuff is more casual, and some of the games just get rid of the basics. Like, that's what WoW did, and that pissed everybody off and started to make everybody mass exodus from that game. They're starting to slowly come back and say, okay, you know what? Maybe it's incorrect for us to not learn basics or teach people basics, because now we have a whole bunch of people who can't fight. And you see this a lot in games where we're always getting frustrated and saying like, well, there's too much casuals, and then you don't want to be in the pug because people don't know what the hell they're doing. And part of the reason for that is not necessarily that people are bad players, it's just now that the way games are structured, they don't have to learn. And that's a big problem. When a game is structured where it doesn't want the people to learn, or they make things too easy, they don't learn. So they get into these games, and me, I'm an old school gamer. I've been playing games since like 95. That's 20 years. But better yet, check that. I've been playing games since I was 5. And I'm 37 now. So I have 32 years that I have actually been playing in gaming. And that's actually older than some of the people who are listening to me right now. My MMO years is about 22 because I started doing that around 95, 96. So I remember when you had to earn it. I remember where games made you learn and made you learn how to properly play them. And this is where I start to come in and I start to get aggravated with the current culture right now. When people start to come in and say, hey, look at this, I can do like the top DPS and everything else, but you're constantly picking them up off the ground. You're constantly having to shelter them while they do their top DPS because they don't know how to do anything else. But then they have the nerve to say that they're the top gamers and everything else in the world, but they don't have anything else. And you're just looking like, well, when the hell did we get back to this? Well, not even back. When did we get to this? When did it stop being about skill? When did it always start being just about who had the most money? Or who just wants to sit up there and show up the most DPS? Because that's not fun. I don't know when did it get to that particular point, or why are we at that point now, but that's not a show of skill. To me, a show of skill is you going through all the boss encounter and being a top DPS and not dying. That's a show of skill to me. To me, a show of skill, and maybe like in a basketball game, is basically, well, just using that as an example. Or matter of fact, nah, that's a bad example. Maybe a show of skill to me, let's take an FPS. A show of skill to me in the FPS is you running and gunning, you pushing up in the FPS and being on the front line and killing people, and then having a KD of like 4-1. Not sniping, not exploiting, not hiding in the corner waiting for people to come around the corner and shoot them and then call yourself badass. It's not a show of skill at all. It's camping. Nobody likes a camper. But see, this is the problem, because you have people who are actually doing that on the internet and then showing their like 100 to like 1 KD, and people are giving them props and giving them likes, and these videos are going 100,000 and everything else, and I'm like, what did he just stood in the corner? He sat there in the corner and sniped and shot people in the kneecaps when they went by, where they probably couldn't even see him because he was crouched down like dolphin diving. That's not skill. The skill to me is when somebody's pushing up, running through, and then like you see them like just going all through the map and killing people, and then showing their aim. As soon as somebody comes out, bam, they getting 2 to the head. That's skill. Skill to me is in PvP in an MMO game, when you don't really have a healer and you just outthink somebody. You just counter them. You stun lock them. You knock them down. You knock them off a cliff. You beat their ass, and you out there and you're about to die, but you just keep going, and you do what you gotta do. You scrape, you get that heal potion up when you have like almost no health, and then like you just sit there and bandage yourself and stuff like that. That was like the stuff back in the day with World of Warcraft. With those type of videos, those type of people, I respected. I don't respect the guys who have like a heal bot behind them, somebody with a macro who spams it one time just on them while they run around like a damn buzzsaw killing everything, and they can't die because they got a heal on them. And people usually don't focus on the damn healer, so then the guy runs around and has like a 50 like kill ratio and no deaths because he had a damn chain healer the entire time. And then he'll go make a forum post or go make a video or say, look at me with my badass ownage, and I'm like, no, man, you didn't do anything. All you did was have a healer and you just stood there invincible and killed people. Granted, it is people's fault for not killing the healer, but I still don't think people should be making videos talking about how badass they are doing that. It's just me. Now, the last thing I want to touch on for this week, which is unfortunate, but I have to because numerous people have asked me to speak on this, and I really didn't want to because I felt it wasn't the place, but I'll speak on it anyway. You see me do a lot of videos on Free MMO Station, and it's pretty much come to a point where I don't know if it's certain people or a person or whatever else, but people got a little racist on there. And in my opinion, I really don't care because it doesn't define me. and it's not really a problem. But some people like me to speak on it because, you know, if you don't say anything, then, you know, people think that it's okay to do it. I don't condone it. I don't condone anybody using any type of racism towards anybody. And the problem with what's going on right now is on Freedom Station, you have some guys who are used to hearing quote unquote white commentators. And that's unfortunate because I am not a white commentator, I'm a black commentator. But I just happen to be a black commentator that doesn't curse all the time and say the N-word. I try to keep it calm. I cursed and, you know, carried on last week because I wanted to make a point, but you don't do that all the time. You don't do that every video. You don't sit there and act like you're totally illiterate and just have to say the N-word like it's a verb every other sentence. You don't need to curse every other sentence. And I totally dislike any black commentator who's doing that and having people sit out there and laugh at them and say, hey, you know, look, this is a good guy and whatever else, because technically they're not laughing at them. I mean, technically they're not laughing, excuse me, they're not laughing with them, they're laughing at them. And they're laughing at them, just disparage the whole race and sit out there and just make themselves a court gesture on YouTube. And that's what's really going on with those type of guys. And I don't watch those people. When I see somebody like that and they need to do stuff like that, I don't watch them. They don't get a sub, they don't get my view, they don't get nothing because they're jokes, in my opinion. Now, the reason why I'm speaking on this is because it was happening on Freedom Station. Freedom Station has already backed me and said they're not even going to acknowledge it and start deleting people's comments, which I applaud them for and I thank them for that, but it really didn't hurt my feelings. But I will say this, because those same people probably ventured their way here and ventured their way wherever else, or they'll find their way here just to do whatever. I don't care if they dislike whatever, because I never cared about likes and dislikes anyway. People want to like stuff, people want to dislike stuff. But my thing towards that, if you guys have never heard me say it before, I am a black commentator. I will always be a black commentator, and nobody will bully me out of actually speaking or not making videos because they are not used to hearing me. I'm a New Yorker. I am a black New Yorker. They need to get over it. They need to get used to it, because we're in 2015 and I'm not going to sit there and deal with some racist bullshit all the time. It is what it is. You guys don't see it a lot, but I get a lot of it. I get a lot of it various places. People will dislike certain things, and I know they're disliking certain things because of the color of my skin, because they're not used to hearing a black person deal with MMOs, and because we're rare, and especially in MMOs. It's extremely rare. I only know 2 other people who actually do it in all of YouTube. If there's somebody else, please introduce me, because I will introduce myself, but that just is what it is. It's unfortunate, and I'm gonna say right now, doesn't matter, doesn't define me, doesn't hurt my feelings, and you will not stop a single thing I do from now and moving forward. So if you want to do that, you want to hide behind the computer, you want to throw racist comments and remarks and whatever else because of the color of my skin, because cowards don't hurt me, they don't stop me, they don't stop my train of thought, they don't deter me in any way. So if you really honestly think that you're going to stop something like that, this is me talking to all the haters and all the guys who are racist and everything else, you're going to have a short life and catch a heart attack, because I'm going to continue to be here, continue to do what I do. Peace and be legendary. Peace and be